Bages. I'm a registered dietitian with Sodexo at University Hospitals. Today we're doing a cooking demo on how to make healthier holiday dessert items. Now most Americans gain about 1 to 2 pounds during the holiday season. Now 1 to 2 pounds may not seem like a lot, but those pounds can add up during the years. So today we're going to focus in on reducing the sugar content, reducing the oil content of our favorite dessert items, so that way you can still enjoy our favorite desserts, but not having the unwanted gift of weight gain. So most desserts are really high in added sugar. The recipes that we're using today are cutting down on the added sugar component. So we're going to use half the amount of sugar, and we're going to use unsweetened applesauce, which will add a lot of flavor, but not a lot of added sugar. And then we're also creating a chocolate bark, which is using dark chocolate, which is higher in antioxidants, which is better for us than milk chocolate. We are also making a chocolate bark using dark chocolate instead of milk chocolate. And dark chocolate's higher in antioxidants, which makes it better for us, but still we gotta practice portion control with it.
Welcome everybody, my name is Anthony Verona. I'm the Culinary Director for University Hospitals Health System with Sodexo. And thanks for joining us today. We're gonna talk about some healthy desserts for the holidays actually. So, we're gonna be making a gluten-free apple cake, which really is great for the holidays, and also some chocolate bark. So I'm gonna show you real quick. This is the finished product. Looks a little plain on top, but you can add a drizzle of a lot of different things, whipped cream, a coconut whipped cream, a bunch of different stuff. So you can see the texture, it's nice, okay? A lot of apples all through there. And then we're gonna make a chocolate bark, and this is great for snacking on after dinner and during the holidays. This chocolate bark has a lot of different stuff on it. We're gonna talk about other things that you can put on it as well. So let's talk about the batter first. So the batter consists of gluten-free flour. What is that? You can buy a ton of different gluten-free flour. Bob's Red Mill makes one, King Arthur makes one, a bunch of different ones. And now in the recipe, there's a little bit of xanthan gum. And I'm not gonna go into a whole bunch about xanthan gum or the definition, but it basically is a stabilizer. It holds it up, makes it nice, and it holds the dough together actually. So. But a lot of the gluten-free flours that you buy in the store already have xanthan gum in it. So if your gluten-free flour that you buy has xanthan gum, then don't add it. If it doesn't, then you need to add it. So we're gonna learn about gluten-free baking. We're gonna learn about pan preparation, which is very important for the actual cake itself to come out. You can see I plopped this out nice and neat. We're gonna talk about how to prepare your pan to make sure that happens. And then we're going to talk about working with chocolate, because working with chocolate can be a little bit difficult. So let's get started. Let me get out the recipe here real quick. So fall apple spice cake. So what do I have in here? I already made half of the batter, and I made that so you could see the finished product. And I made that in a cake pan. We're going to turn this into a muffins. Now you can see, if you have muffin cups, you're more than welcome to use muffin cups. I'm not a huge fan of those. What I do is, what I said, we're gonna talk about pan preparation. So I took a little bit of butter. You can use coconut oil. You could use a little bit of olive oil. You need something that's hard. So coconut oil would be really great. And you basically wanna get it all around the edges of wherever you're gonna put the batter, and then you put whatever flour you're using. If you're using regular flour, use regular flour. If you're using gluten-free flour. So you can see I dusted it with flour, and then I banged it out, so now it has this nice coating in there. So the recipe has a little bit of gluten-free flour, 3 cups. It also has some baking powder, some salt, and a lot of fall spices like cloves, cinnamon, nutmeg, a lot of cool stuff. Those fall spices are really great. It has a little bit of brown sugar, a little bit of regular sugar, and it has some applesauce as well. There is a little bit of fat in here. The recipe talks about butter, but you can also use coconut oil if you like. So we're gonna turn this into some, and you can see it's rather thick batter. We're gonna turn these into muffins. And you can see my technique here. I don't like to get it over the edge or on the edge, because what happens is that just ends up burning. So take your time. You can see I use a spoon, then I use a gloved hand. You don't want to fill it up too much. There is baking powder in here. That baking powder is going to give it some leavening and make it puff up. Again, you can make this into a loaf. You could make this into a cake. You could turn this into muffins. Pretty much any form you want, whatever you have. I also have some sauteed apples in here. If you didn't have apples, you could put pears, something a little bit drier though. Maybe not a peach, but whatever's in season and whatever apple you have laying around, it doesn't really matter. This is a pretty forgiving cake. And the other thing I want to mention, if you're not gluten-free, just follow the recipe and use regular flour. It works out just as fine. Just omit the xanthan gum, no need for that. Hopefully this will be done by the time we're done with the video. So we're gonna pop this in I like to bang it just a little bit, get it down, but it doesn't need a lot of manipulating. Put it in a 350-degree oven. That cake took about 22 minutes. Those will probably take about 12 minutes. So hopefully we'll see that here, okay? So that's a great dish. Now, like I said, you can top that with whipped cream. There's a lot of recipes on the internet for coconut whipped cream, which is pretty interesting. You could top it with ice cream. You could top it with anything you really want. If you wanted to make a caramel sauce, I mean, it's endless. So let's make this chocolate bark. So what is chocolate bark? It's really simple. I use a dark chocolate. You can use milk chocolate, but dark chocolate's a little bit healthier. It has some antioxidants and things like that in it. I'm going to show you what to do with this. So what I did is I have a double boiler here. What is a double boiler? It's just a pan of water that I brought to a boil, and then I put it down to a light simmer. And then I dump my chocolate in there, and this is what I get, just melted chocolate, okay? There's no lumps, just melted chocolate, okay? I have a half cookie sheet here, lined with parchment paper. The key to chocolate bark is you don't want it too thick. This is about perfect, right? Once it gets too thick, it gets hard. It's a little hard to chew on. So what I like to do is wipe the bottom because I don't want it. Water and chocolate do not mix. If you put water inside this chocolate right now, it would turn into a brick. So you really want to remove the chocolate. No need to put any oil or grease or anything like that down here. Actually, I think it's going to take it all. It looks thick now, but we're going to... So again, double boiler. Do not leave it on a boil, okay? Just bring it up to a boil, put the chocolate on there, turn it down, and once it melts, that's it. You can shut it off. So what I'm going to do is hold this parchment paper, get this to a thickness that I like. Again, I think that was about a 1/4 inch thick. Trying not to go over the edge of the parchment. And there is a little bit of time, you know, it will start to harden. So you got to work with it, not too quickly, but all right, that's a good thickness. And again, this stuff, you can make this for Thanksgiving and it'll last for a long time, till Christmas. Okay, so I have some cashews here. You could use peanuts, you could use almonds, you could use pecans. What I like to do is just crush them up right in my hand. You want to make sure it obviously sits in the chocolate, otherwise it falls off. It's because right now the chocolate is soft and it kind of sits right on top. So again, I'm just crushing this up. Use any nut you want. Don't use any nuts. It doesn't matter. Actually, this one I used a spicy cashew. You know, spicy and chocolate goes really well together. These are just plain salted cashews. But again, that sweet and salty goes really well together as well. Then I'm going to top this with some dried fruit. You don't want to use fresh fruit. You don't want anything that's high moisture content, because it's not going to really work. But you can see less is more in this case. You don't want too much ingredients on top, but you want it evenly dispersed. Taking my time. Again, you put this in a sealed container, it will last a good long time. 15, 20 days. All right. Now what I have here is some cool ingredients. Some dried cherries. Again, I'm sure Melissa can talk about that, but high in antioxidants, very good for you. Again, I'm just gonna disperse these. I have 3 different types of dried fruit, so I'm gonna make sure I don't put too much of one. You can see I'm getting it into the chocolate so it sets in there. If you put too much stuff, then it doesn't sit in the chocolate and then it ends up falling off. And then I have some really cool, you don't have to use these, but these are dried blueberries. Find anything you want. Raisins work well. These are apricots that I've cut up. Now the recipe has some peppermint oil in the chocolate itself, so give it just a little peppermint flavor for the holidays. Spread this out nice and neat. You could melt some white chocolate and drizzle it over. That would be really good. Give it a nice little contrast in color. Any type of ingredients you really want. Again, no fresh fruit, that wouldn't really work. Now what I'm going to do is put this in the refrigerator. Let that set up for about 30 minutes. Then what you have here is this chocolate bark. This is really cool, and I just cut it in, or broke it into shards. Works really great. You know, if you have a piece of apple cake with a little piece of whipped cream on top, you put this on top, just makes a nice little garnish. So thanks for joining me. Have a great holiday.
To summarize what we learned today, we created healthier desserts using less sugar, and we're using applesauce, which will help create a nice sweetener but not a lot of added sugar. We use dark chocolate instead of milk chocolate. And remember, anytime you're enjoying desserts, it's totally okay to have it. Just remember to focus on your portion control and eat slowly so you really truly enjoy the dessert. Remember to download the handout and recipe that goes with today's cooking show. Thanks for watching.